you don't know how to act. Yeah, I'm pointing out facts. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them death. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck. Burgundy flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Beat like gas. Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Left side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Watch the middle. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feet the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to episode 16 of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I am your host, Drew Willingham, back in action and ready for this episode to talk about a bunch of dumpster Pelicans that have been playing this year, suiting up as the Washington Commanders. And we will definitely get into this program here. But as always, this show is brought to you by
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Oh yeah, the struggle is real to definitely be awesome for the Commanders as they flat out suck right now. I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can. And I've had this show now for 16 straight weeks. But it is hard. It is hard to watch this team play the way that they have. They've absolutely done a terrible job head coaching all on down the line, and we will definitely get into that on this episode right here. Let's go ahead and take this into the 1st and 10.
They are the Washington Commanders. New name, new marks, new uniform.
Soldiers, are we ready for Operation Burgundy?
And just like the title of this mother-fathering show right here for this episode, the Commanders played like absolute dumpster Pelicans in this week 15 loss, a 28-20 loss, that being to the LA Rams. Now, don't let that close score fool you, because this team going into halftime was down 13-0. Now, I know it's only a 2-possession game, but when you look at how this team has played all year long, well, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, they were doing okay. I was riding a little bit of the train, not saying they were going to go to the playoffs and, go to the Super Bowl or anything like a delusional fan or whatnot would be, because this show is like, 13, 14% fan. The rest of it, 80, 85% whatnot, as an actual analyst who watches football and can sit here and tell you from bit to bit why. What I can tell you, part of the reason why, and I've been saying it all year long, is this offensive line is absolutely terrible. When you sit there and you watch this team, the entirety of the problems, it starts there. Now, I know some of you are probably looking at this and saying, Drew, getting pretty animated with this. What about the defensive side? Well, when you trade away their 2 best players on the defensive side, of course they're going to have some setbacks. I'd say giving up 28 points is a lot better than when you have the Chargers giving up 60-plus points to the Raiders, like on back last Thursday night's game. But I'll talk more about that tomorrow morning on Total Football Talk with Cole Johnson. When it comes to this team right here, the Washington Commanders, absolutely terrible play. Going into halftime 13-0. It got to a point, at one point, when you were down 20-0 because you gave up a 62-yard touchdown to Cooper Kupp in the third quarter. It was not looking good. It looked like we were playing back many weeks ago and we were getting blanked out by other teams. Looking into this game right here, you cannot put it all on Sam Howell. And we'll get more into that here in the next segment. You cannot completely blame him for everything with this. He's a young quarterback, for one. He has absolute terrible protection on that offensive line. And when it comes to defense, you trade away your 2 best players, and now you're trying to do the best of what you got. I'm okay with giving up 28 points. I'm not okay with the backup quarterback coming off the bench, even though it is Jacoby Brissett, and he's had some moments in the past. He came in through 2 touchdowns and looked like he was far superior over one Sam Howell. Now, in some aspects, tools-wise, maybe in some aspects he is. But because he's a veteran, Sam Howell is only a second-year player. But if you're going to sit up here and you're going to blame it all on Sam Howell, those of you don't watch football. You don't watch football if you're going to sit there and blame it all on the kid at the quarterback position. It's the offensive line that absolutely sucks. This is the first time in 16 straight weeks covering this team, watching this team for 30-plus years, but being part of the media in an aspect for over 5 years now. This is the first time I've sat up here on my show, on my platform primarily, and sat here and told you that this team flat out sucks. Shout out to A7BN Sports and Team MBS Media for also carrying the show as well. But this show basically created in-house by myself to cover the Commanders. Why? Not for like a super fan aspect of the team, but to sit here and tell you like it is. This team sucks right now. Sitting there and watching this team at 4-10. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves from the coaching down to the players. But it all starts with that offensive line. You all should retire at the end of this year. Every single one of you that has played at the offensive line position. You need to retire this year. Go play in the... don't even take that talentless stuff to the XFL. Go to the CFL. Go to Arena League. You got to far away from the NFL because we get tired of watching it. That's how bad it looks right now. Now, maybe during the off season, you can watch some film. You can do a little extra work or something and get a little bit better. But to give up the amount of sacks, to have the very little protection. How did you get to the NFL to begin with? How did you get to the NFL at this point? That's what I'm saying when I look at this team right here. And thanks, Mick. I appreciate it. Talking about awesome shaved. Yes. Don't get too excited because I flipped a coin. I flipped a mother, father, and coin, and it was either the beard or the hair. And the hair still lives on, but it is nicely put back there. But back to this topic right here. The Commanders suck. They absolutely suck, okay? And I know ESPN can't go on there and say that on their platforms. This is like, what, 80%? This show is broadcast on 80% of my platform, so I'm going to sit here and say this sucks to watch this team. Again, shout out to A7BN Sports and Team MBS Media. Hopefully this is okay, but I'm sorry. I've watched this team right here. And I get upset watching this team. In my lifetime, I have already had a stroke. Cannot have another one. But I'm not going to let it get me that far revved up to where you have to worry about that ever happening on here again. I think I need to let this out a little bit right now just so it doesn't happen again, just because of how bad this team plays. Luckily for me, I was listening in on this and not actually watching it, except for the highlights as I was traveling back from Philadelphia yesterday, back to home or whatnot, so I could be here today to do this show. Got caught up in a tropical storm pretty much, and it took me a long time to get home, a very long time to get home. But I got home around midnight here for this show and for another show later tonight, but we'll talk about that more later on in this show. But for this first segment, the Commanders played like absolute dumpster pelicans against the Rams. Absolutely. If this was an in or out, it would definitely be in. But if I'm going to be this revved up for the first segment of the show, I guess you can't wait to see what's in store for the other 5 segments. Let's go ahead and take this into the Burgundy Flex review.
Yes, go to my neck, Burgundy Flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Be like that.
And here with the Burgundy Flex review. When it comes to Sam Howell benched in the second half of Week 15 contest and how this will affect the team going forward. Well, I don't think the team's going to be affected much positively going forward, at least for the rest of this season, until you make way with Riverboat Ron. Tell him to get on out as far as the head coach. You know, he's a good human being in person. I've seen him. He's a nice guy. But they need a change. They need a change in management style there for the coaching over there for the Commanders. I don't know if Eric B, EB, whatever you want to call him, Bieniemy, he's going to be the best option for that role. And I just feel like, you know, once this season ends, they're going to clean house with a lot of that when it comes to the head coach. They might let EB leave. They already got rid of, you know, Jack Del Rio as the defensive coordinator. There's going to be more moves where that's before it's all said and done. there's going to be more coaches looking for other jobs at the end of the offseason or flat out retiring from that job and moving on to something else. The one thing with Sam Howell being benched, being in the background and listening in to some colleagues asking some questions over there with the media scrum today when it came to Ron Rivera up there answering some questions. And the biggest one being about Sam Howell being benched. I mean, what kind of conversation did you have with them? I mean, what does that mean going forward? Is he still the guy? Well, according to Riverboat Ron, Sam Howell is still the guy going into next week and beyond for the remainder of this season, as they've only got 3 games left. And Jacoby Brissett did look pretty good. He had 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. However, I just find it ironic that Sam Howell, gets taken out. Jacoby Brissett comes in there and has his way with it on 2 possessions and scores twice and gets him within a possession of tying the game. Now, of course, the field goal, the extra point gets blocked, and then, they don't recover the onside kick. Again, this close score is not something to get excited about. You can say whatever you want in the comments, and I'll acknowledge you here in a minute. But when it comes to this score, this game was further away than what you could imagine. This whole Commanders team, mainly the offensive line, played like dumpster pelicans. Now I'm going back to segment 1. When it comes to right here for segment 2, Sam Howell was benched as a result of that because Ron Rivera wanted to protect him going forward into the game. He didn't want to take him out, put him out there to where he's potentially hurt. He doesn't have him for the rest of the season or screw up the kid's future. And I kind of like that answer. I will at least give it to Riverboat Ron on that one. If Sam Howell is the future in the franchise at quarterback, because he has looked really well in certain points this year where many other quarterbacks for this team have failed to look as good playing with this type of team. They are 4-10, but they would be like as bad as the Panthers if they had anybody else at quarterback for the remainder of the season. Somebody else told me earlier, they're like, well, if Jacoby played this well in that short amount of time, what would they be right now if he would have started 4, 5, 6 weeks ago? Well, at that point, 1, Sam Howell wasn't playing bad enough to put Jacoby in like that, for 1. And 2, he's still not playing that bad. I mean, he did throw 2 interceptions. But looking at the type of protection that he had in those 2 interceptions that he'd thrown, I would have thrown an interception. You would have thrown an interception. Probably anybody else in this league, 27, 28 other quarterbacks from other starting teams would have thrown an interception too. I'm looking at that offensive line. It is just absolute joke watching them week in and week out. And those of you who truly watch the game and don't look at the score and say, oh, they're playing bad, I don't want to watch it, let me go to something else. Let me pick a whole different team because I'm going to turn my back on someone just because I don't agree with what I'm seeing. We see it all over the place. It's called being a fake fan and a fake person. I may not like how the Commanders are playing right now, but I'm not going to stop this show or stop this coverage because I don't like the way they're playing. That's just how it is. They suck right now. Everybody is entitled to suck at some point. It's how you bounce back from it that it shows your character and who you are as a person, and in this case, as a team. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out during this offseason. And forgive me for being fired up on this particular day, but there's just been a lot going on over the past couple of years, and especially at this time of the year. And then seeing this with the Commanders, it's just like added fuel to the fire. I'm so amped up right now. 6 days from Christmas Eve, an exact week away from Christmas. Happy holidays to you guys out there. But again, when it comes to Commanders fans around, this is probably the happiest part of this holiday season as far as the football goes that I can give you as far as roasting this team for how bad they are playing. It is absolutely sad. When it comes to this, Mick says here in the comments, if this was in or out, I would be out with your dumpster fire team. Well, I appreciate that, Mick. We'll have to see how things go. I can tell you that tonight's episode of In or Out does not include the Commanders. 1, we have a whole show right here. I'm going to be tired talking about them after the show ends, for 1. And 2, there's just many other things that are great to talk about within sports, a.k.a. sports debate, which is why I'm probably not going to have the Commanders as part of topics on that show anymore since we have a show right here dedicated to that. But tonight, 8:05 p.m. Eastern time, you can find myself, Kyle Nash, and the first-time panelist, Travis Holmes, who are both part of the Duval Dive podcast on that show at 8:05. But right now, Sam Howell benched in the second half of Week 15 contest and how this will affect the team moving forward. It's going to affect Riverboat Ron because he's going to get fathering fired. Okay? He's going to get fired, but we already knew this getting up to this point in the season. We were already talking about this like 2 months ago. I'm just surprised they've let it roll out this long, for one, and that we haven't seen old EB get the chance to succeed. I think what the ownership group, in my opinion, is doing here is they're letting it play out. So this way, when it fails, they can just let go of everybody and bring in who they want to bring in. So we'll definitely see this right here. And Sick says, greetings to the DMV. Well, thank you for tuning in there, Sick. Appreciate you being here. We still have plenty of show to go as we've only gone through the first 2 segments. Let's go ahead and take this into our first commercial break. And when we get back, you're going to be really interested to see who I have as the Soldiers of the Week for the MVPs of this game. It is not going to be pretty. I'll see you here on the other side of this commercial break.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Football, and more football, you say? Well, tune in to Total Football Talk. Join your hosts, Drew Willingham.
You were playing like a dumpster Pelican quarterback.
And Cole Johnson.
It sets up a possible play action. Did you hear that, Dak Prescott?
As they take you through all the paces, both on the field and in the boardroom, of Total Football Talk. Every Tuesday at
9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central.
Exclusively on the Surtoba Media and the Comey Media Incorporated YouTube channel.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Some Willie Bucks.
Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
And welcome back from that first commercial break. Let's get back to talking about a team that absolutely is terrible right now. And take this into the Soldiers of the Week so we can celebrate some of those greatest players of this past game.
Where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
And here's the Soldiers of the Week. Absolutely nobody. Nobody is a soldier in this week. Nobody deserves the MVPs for this week. 1, 2, and 3 goes to nobody this week because they all sucked. Even for the Rams. We'll get into that more here in a second as we get to the showstopper part of this series. But when it comes to the Soldiers of the Week, I've got nobody getting it this week here on episode 16, going into week 16, covering week 15. And with that being said, let's take this into the showstopper and get even more heated with this next topic at hand.
I off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feed the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Definitely not playing around when it comes to this episode right here and the showstopper. What adjustments should the team make going into week 16 to improve from week 15? Well, I've said it all year long. I feel like I've said it every single week, and you don't do anything about it. So what's the point of talking about it? I don't know if you're going to do it or not. We got to get through the next 3 weeks of the season, and maybe we'll see during the offseason if you address it. But what adjustments do you really need to make? First of all, don't suck. Second of all, you need to make some adjustments to that offensive line. I said it enough at the beginning part before we went to our first commercial break. And I must say it again. You need to make adjustments to that offensive line. You're doing a terrible job in run protection. You're doing a terrible job in pass protection. And you're just doing a terrible job in general. Let's see what you think here in the comments. Here, when it comes to this. Ike is here and says, this team sucks. Well, when it comes to that, Ike, I'm going to actually give you something nice today. You know, normally I would tell Ike something along the lines of this.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
This was like 10, 11 weeks ago. Yeah, I would have gave him that. Probably followed up with that.
Stop it. Get some help.
But today you earn a yes, and you also earn this, being it's the holiday season from one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yes, this team does suck. I acknowledge it right here on episode 16. And I'm going to acknowledge it until they do anything to make them not suck. Let's take another comment right here. Sick Diggy, my man, says, none zilch. Nobody, not one. Oh, that was great, Sick. Thank you for that one. This is just the energy I'm bringing to this episode here, what I'm feeling because of how bad this team is playing. Can't get excited for whatever you're seeing when it comes to this team right here. Eric says, Sick says, Eric Bieniemy needs to think of a master plan, but he's got no Raheem to his Eric B. There it is. There it is right there for what Sick said. Eric Bieniemy needs to think of a master plan. I mean, you got to think of a hell of a pitch to give this front office to keep you around. I mean, your offense is only, tallied up 4 wins for the entire season. You could put as much blame on Riverboat Ron, but EB was supposed to come in and completely turn the offense around. In some ways, he has. I feel like he's doing a better job than what old Mr. Turner was doing before, they brought in EB this past offseason. Thinking about that, and there's been games where the defense has given up a lot of points too. Even before they made those trades with Montez Sweat and Chase Young, there were still some questionable things going on with that defense. But again, there's 11 people on the field. You can have 2 superstars, but if the other 9 people around you suck, it's going to bring down that entire team. So this is how it is. When it comes to that, that's how I feel when it comes to old EB and the master plan they're sick. Ike, I will not tell you to stay in your lane, says Mick. For the first time, when it comes to Mick and Ike in their battles, usually Mick is going off on Ike. For the first time today, I got to give them this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and hey, Ike, keep it up, because most of the time, we'd be throwing out a little bit of this too.
Now, that is absurd.
So when it comes to that, it's only his first season with them. What about the defense coordinator? Well, Jack Del Rio was there for nearly 4 seasons, 3.5 seasons, and then got fired a few weeks ago, as we talked about on the show there, 6. So defense coordinator's gone. You got like assistants and maybe the water boy, helping out on defense, as Riverboat Ron is like manning the defense, because Riverboat Ron was a defensive coordinator, with the Chargers before he went to the Panthers as the head coach, and Cam Newton revived him. Well, I wouldn't say revived him, but gave him the stature and the clout of a head coach of what he had that led him to Washington. Before he was a defensive coordinator for those years that he was with the Chargers and other teams before that, he was a player in the NFL as well and won a Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears in 1985, that legendary season they had. When you think about that, he does have some defensive clout. So I understood that move when they made it. Didn't think it was going to make the team drastically play better. I think the week after they made that move, I think they did. No, they didn't win the game because they've been on a losing streak for a while. So when it comes to that, it didn't really help so much. But at the same time, it's your Band-Aid to get through the rest of the season. So we'll see how things go. But if you thought I was animated in the first 4 segments, can't wait to show you what we got in store for the last 2. But before we get to that, we have to go to one more quick commercial break. And then I got to light it up when it comes to next week's opponent. We'll see what we got in store for that after this quick commercial break.
Commanders, where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders, where's my soldiers? Left side.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids from the block, New Edition,
dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Slide some Willie Bucks.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commanders Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commanders Gridiron Report. Every Monday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 2:05 p.m. Central. Exclusively on the Sertoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J.KUL.
Where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Left side.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Commanders, where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders, where's my soldiers? Left side.
Welcome back to coverage for a team that absolutely sucks. I am Drew Willingham here to bring you more for this episode right here when it comes to we got the opponent of the week next and the final word. Let's go ahead and take this into our next week's opponent, as Ryan McCarthy here in the comments will definitely be excited to talk about what I have for this one right here.
Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep?
Well, who we've got next is a team that's had their problems this year, but they don't suck as bad as the Commanders. I know I've said that a lot in this episode. That's how I feel watching this team. Or, in the case of yesterday, listening in as I was driving home. But we'll get back to that at another point this week when Wiesel Hefe is with me for episode 12 of D. Willie in the evening, Thursday night at 11 p.m. Bing! But hey, that is live and in action, as I am on vacation this week. But we'll get more into that on that episode there. When it comes to the opponent of the week right here, I forgot to change that one right there, as I had copy and pasted wrong earlier when the prep of the show. But we'll say, when it comes to the opponent of the week right here, you got to look back at this graphic. The Jets are 5-9. The Commanders are 4-10. It's definitely a tough year for both of them. The biggest thing that's affected the Jets is their quarterback has been gone. Okay, since the fourth play of the season when he got his Achilles snapped. Okay, he was battling to where potentially he can come back for this upcoming week for the Christmas Eve game at home, hosting this terrible team right here. Because everybody within that front office, within that team, even the media knew that this is probably the best tune-up game for Aaron Rodgers if he is going to do this thing and be able to help this team get through the playoffs. Well, officially this past weekend, you were definitely mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, and there's no point in coming back. We're going to talk about that more on the In or Out Sports Debate tonight, and I'll leave that part alone for this episode. But what I will tell you is this. It doesn't look like he's playing for one, in my opinion, unless any type of news has come out since we started this episode here. And two, Zach Wilson is going to look $1 million playing against this Commanders team and this defense that doesn't have two of their biggest stars because they traded them away, and everybody else just playing absolutely terrible to begin with. So looking at this right here, when it comes to this game right here, the Commanders who are 4-10 against the 5-9 New York Jets, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. This New York Jets team is going to win at home decisively. And the Commanders are going to play like dumpster pelicans yet again. I wish I was wrong. But it seems like if you lose the rest of this season and you go 4-13, it's a terrible record to even say anyway. Even 4-12 is bad enough. But 4-13, you're going to have a pretty decent pick in the draft next year. It's probably what the ownership was thinking when they didn't put old EB in there. If they keep EB this offseason, put him in as head coach, that's exactly what they did for this season. That's exactly what they did. They're not going to sit here and tell you that. That's just what it looks like. Let's go ahead and take this into the comment section and see what you guys have to say right here. It looks like our next comment was Mick saying, Drew, your team needs to slow their roll and stay in their lane. Yes. I don't even know if slow your roll is the right thing. They need to actually get on a roll. Not even on a roll. They keep losing. So in order to slow your roll, you have to get on a roll. So I'm gonna disagree with that one there, Mick, but you could try that. I see what you were saying, though. At least Riverboat Ron's not doing the Super Bowl shuffle. His joints won't allow him to. When it comes to that, I mean, his joints, well, I got to give Sick this one for that.
Acknowledge me.
Even Riverboat Ron's up there saying this right now.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
Basically meaning he doesn't want any part of that. So we'll see how that goes. If this ever gets to him, if the word ever gets to him. Of course, he's probably not going to like that I've said the word suck like 15 times in the past 30 minutes. That might have been 16. It might have been more than that. I don't know. I lost count. But what I can tell you is the truth when it comes to this team. They flat out, I've said it enough, you already know. When it comes to this, Jack Del Rio and Riverboat Ron sucked as players too. When it comes, how am I going to get away from saying it when you guys are saying it in the comments too? We're only mere weeks away from hearing this when it comes to Riverboat Ron.
Yeah! Fire!
Just keep waiting. It's coming. You're not going to get let down this one this time. We were expecting it last offseason. It didn't happen. It's going to happen this offseason. Ryan McCarthy says, can't wait for next week's toilet bowl between the Command Skins and the Jets. Brought to you by American Standard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That was great. You get a Bruce Willis yippee-ki-yay on that one as well there, Ryan McCarthy. Well said, well played at a great time. When it comes to this, all my Commanders sit your sorry dumpster fire Pelicans. Mick, yes, Mick, yes. No, your dumpster Pelicans will win this week. You're going to call for them to win this week? I know Ryan McCarthy over there is saying this.
Would you please shut the hell up?
All right, Mick.
Let me talk to you.
When it comes to this right here, the dumpster Pelicans winning this week.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Come on, bruh.
That's terrible.
You can't handle the truth.
And as always,
acknowledge me.
All right, next comment we got right here. Oh, that was the last comment that we have up to this point. Just having a great time with you out here on these streams there, Mick. Keep them coming, as we got one more segment to get to before we get on out of here so I can get ready for the next show tonight at 8 o'clock, the return of the In or Out Sports Debate for the first time in 2.5 months. I'll give a little bit more into detail of why it's been 2.5 months when we get to the actual episode tonight at 8:05. This is only the Commanders Gridiron Report time where I'm going to sit here and tell you they suck. Well, there's probably 20 times I've said it down in the episode, but what I will do is show you this. Tonight, episode 105 is at 8:05 p.m. Eastern time here on December 18th from Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, where we've got Kyle Nash returning for the 10th time as he is in third place in the Vault of Fame inductees with now 10 appearances as of tonight's episode. And you got Travis D. Holmes, who's going to be here for the first time. Both of them do the Duval Jive podcast, which you can find here on Sartoba Media Fridays around 11:15 in the morning on every Friday to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to talk all things football tonight on the In or Out Sports Debate. We got some good ones in store for you there, so I'm excited to finally get it back, which is why I got to jump off here so I can get ready for that one there. With that being said, we take this to the final segment, and we'll see what comes out of my mouth on this one.
We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A diehard fan never live with regret. Yes, sir.
And here it is, the final drive. You know, I've basically given predictions for this upcoming week, a review of last week, a review of the season, where this team stands right now, what we can possibly see during this offseason. And it's not looking good for the next 3 weeks. It's looking pretty bleak, if you ask me. I've said the S word so many times on this show, on this episode at least. And I hope that it lights a fire somewhere within the airwaves so that way somebody can get motivated to crack some skulls or something out there. Well, maybe not crack some skulls. That was the worst thing to say. We don't want to see CTE implosions out there. But at least to get a little bit more fired up and at least get one more win this year. At least go 5-12. Don't go 4-13. 5-12 is a little more respectable than 4-13. We'll see how that goes. But when it comes to my closing thoughts for this episode, it didn't look good for the next 3 weeks. I don't think they win the next 3 weeks, especially if they couldn't win this past week. I said it last week on this show. This is their best opportunity the next 4 weeks, this past game being against the Rams, to win, because I don't see them winning in the last 3 weeks, especially if the Jets won last week and they have Aaron Rodgers in the quarterback. Now, anything can happen this next week. The Jets can play like dumpster Pelicans too, just keeping it real. And the Commanders can sneak out of New York with a win. I just don't see it happening because their defense is still really good. And if teams like the Rams, who are not as good defensively as this team they're going to face this week with the Jets, I don't have any high hopes for this Commanders team this week. So we'll see how that goes. Here in the comments, we've got Sick Dicky saying, Ryan McCarthy and Drew Willingham, the Commanders-Jets debacle will be an utter disaster either way, no matter who wins. Absolutely, you were absolutely right when it comes to that. They're playing the dumpster fire Jets. Yes, Mick, they definitely are playing them. At Sick Diggy, I will probably be my castor oil game of the week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that there next Tuesday when you guys do No Credentials Required. It'll definitely be awesome. Oh, well, you'll probably talk about that tomorrow or next week. I don't know. My days are running into each other, but Christmas is on Monday next week. So, oh yeah, that is one thing I got to say for this final announcement. We will not have a show next week. This will, unless I do it. No, I can't even do a Sunday night because it's Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Maybe I'll find a way to do it in the middle of the week. Maybe before I go to work on Wednesday. I don't know. I got to think about it. It just depends on how the week goes. We'll see how things go. I'll make an announcement on the Instagram, and I need to get better about getting on Twitter because I'm absolutely terrible about getting on Twitter to the point to where I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm not like responding back to messages and people are getting upset. And I keep trying to tell people I don't use Twitter. I use Facebook and Instagram primarily. And I got too much else going on around me to focus on anything else. I need a secretary. So when it comes to all this stuff wouldn't get done if I was spending all this time on social media like 85% of the world does. So I'm sorry. I'm terrible with messaging. You want to talk? Call me. This is how it is. Or we can set up a video chat. I might be working in the background what happens, but we could do that. It is what it is. But thank you all for being here for this episode today. Before I go through these last few comments, I wanted to let you know that there will not be an episode next Monday, and that I'm going to have to see how things are going around the work schedule before I announce when. But I'm going to try to find a way to fit it in next week. Just don't know what day, but we'll see. This toilet bowl is brought to you by Clearwater Laxatives. When things get muddy, Clearwater is your buddy. I'm going to clip that out. That was good, sick. I like that. Very, very good. And of course, as always, the overly hyped Slackjaw VPN. The VPN we're slacking off. Slackjaw VPN, where the slacking be smooth. And of course, Ryan McCarthy. Oh, it's this Wednesday. Ding. I thought it was Tuesdays. I don't know. My days are running into each other, man, but I could have sworn it was on Tuesdays. No credentials required. This Wednesday at 8 p.m. Ding. Well, if you or Kyle Nash will see at 8:05 tonight, he will be saying bing. Either way, it's ding or bing. It's still an awesome way to do it. But yes, we'll definitely have to check that out. Because I don't have any shows this Wednesday. I'm on vacation until Christmas Day. I have to go back to my full-time job on Christmas Day. But I will be off this Wednesday. And, yeah, I'll check it out. So other than that, when it comes to no credentials required, you can check them out on their YouTube channel. You can check out Ryan McCarthy, as always, teaming up with the Snowman Multimedia crew, as he was there with them this morning on Snowman's return episode today. It was good to see him back on the airwaves. But most importantly, I'm just glad to be back on the airwaves as I had some things go down this weekend and a little bit of a scare last night on the way home, which I will get to this Thursday night on D. Willie in the evening with Wise El Jefe. And we'll talk about that more then. But for this episode, we've only got one more thing left to do. Let's look at one badass outro. I'm your host, Drew Willingham, with one more thing left to tell you. And that's to stay safe out here in these streets.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, Commanders, where my soldiers, watch the middle, Commanders, where my soldiers, now we step, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, now we step, where my soldiers, watch the middle, Commanders, where my soldiers,
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get on up out of here. I will see you tonight, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, for another episode, the return episode of the In or Out Sports Debate. As always, stay safe out here in these streets.